I talk about this so-called dark side in my new book, I'm Not Crazy, Scorpio's Guide to Embracing the Dark Side, because I wanted to dismantle this whole separation between myself and what was perceived as an image of me that was negative, but not also negative, that emerged at a particular time. And it was kind of like this Jekyll and Hyde situation. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, I don't know what this is. This doesn't make sense. And as people describe Scorpios, you know, there's always this dark side that supposedly comes out, you know, what I did discover is that it has a lot of power. It has a lot of power. So ultimately, embracing your dark side is probably the most powerful thing that you could possibly do, and I'm going to tell you why. Welcome back, Stingers. Let's talk about this dark side that everybody's afraid of and that everybody is triggered by and that everybody talks about when it comes to Scorpios, and everybody should be fearful of it and we shouldn't be that way. And hopefully you've read my new book, I'm Not Crazy, A Scorpio's Guide to Embracing the Dark Side. We dismantle everything and we talk about it and we go deep as us Scorpios do. What I did find is that the power in embracing the so-called dark side, and I'm going to call it so-called dark side because I don't believe that there is a specific side of me. I think there's me in its entirety, and the portion that you're uncomfortable with or you're scared of, that you're triggered by, is your business. So I don't accept it as a specific side. I accept it as everything, darling, that we are. So here are the things that I found really powerful in that. Someone asked me, you know, why I wasn't afraid of death and why I saw it in the way that I did, and why my favorite place is the cemetery, why I run there every day, why I'm comfortable around the notion of, you know, physical transformation, and, you know, why that is, and is that all Scorpios? It isn't all Scorpios, in fact. It depends on how you were indoctrinated when you grew up. And most of you are, especially if you're American, you're indoctrinated to believe that death is a bad thing and that it's something to fear, even though we all get a turn of it. But totally bizarre. That's a whole other video, whole other conversation, probably with a different group of people who can go there. But this dark side, this embracing this dark side, you know, I find it really positive, and I find it very empowering. And you'll see in my book a lot of things that I turn into empowering moments, and I want you guys to have that experience too, because it is so amazing. And once you become empowered with every facet of who you are, it alleviates so much. It alleviates a lot of overstep boundaries. It alleviates you being manipulated by individuals. It alleviates so many things. It alleviates you being manipulated by individuals. It alleviates you being gaslighted. It alleviates you feeling like you're some outsider. It alleviates low self-esteem. It just gives you your power when you step into the shoes of who you really are and who you're meant to be. And so as far as darkness, and people call, you know, a lot of things fall into that spectrum, being over emotional or being triggered or being vindictive, all of these things fall into that spectrum. But what I like about so-called darkness is that I don't consider those things. Other people do. But what I consider this so-called dark side is going in, being able to face all of emotions and traumas and things that other people are so afraid to tap into, and actually looking at those things and facing those things and feeling those things and knowing what they are. Like, I'm not afraid of being in a very intense state, like being super highly emotional in an intense manner. Like, I don't fear that. Like, I like to see, and here's another thing about the power of that, is that I know how far I can go emotionally. I know how far I can go in terms of knowing where I can sit with myself, or if I'm at the verge of about to hurt someone, like I know where I can be pushed. And a lot of people don't know those limits. They kind of shock themselves. They're like, oh my gosh, I had to fight, you know. And then they need to fight by argument. Most people are not out throwing hands, but for those who are and those who have, like myself, I know that that's a limit I can go to, and I'm not afraid of it, and I'm not afraid of the result of it, and I'm not afraid to sit with myself no matter what my mood is. I'm not afraid. I don't like people who say, oh my gosh, you get out of the dark, you know. No, get into the dark. Get into the dark. How long is it dark for? I don't know where you live, but the sun is going down here. I have the window open, and I do have a light here, of course, because it would be dark in here. But the sun goes down maybe like 8, and then it doesn't rise again to like, what, 5:30 or 6 in the morning. Like, we're in the dark for a long time. You know, and I'm comfortable with that. I mean, do you leave your lights on all night because you're just afraid of sitting with yourself in a space where there's no words and there's nothing to distract you? There's no visual to distract you. There's nothing to distract your brain. You know, the power of the dark is being familiar and knowing all of these facets about yourself, knowing your limits, knowing where you can go. If this happens, oh, I know where I'm going to go with that. Like, you know it. You know yourself at that point. You're comfortable in nothingness. You're comfortable in silence. You're comfortable in that. Whereas other people need to always fill in that space. They don't know themselves. They're detaching. They're off trying to, you know, fill in the gaps. They're you know, they need to disguise. They need a vice. They need something to cover it up. You know, very Neptunian energy. And you know, I just find, I want you guys, I find such power in it. I want you guys to find that. And I'm not talking about darkness as in, you know, hurting yourself physically and things like that. These, you know, I don't use that label dark when it comes to that. I just say it what it is. Like, I get very literal when it comes to a lot of things, and I've learned not to assign, you know, these false labels to things. Oh, he's so dark. What does that mean? Well, he's just like sitting in his room. Okay, well, why don't we just say he's like sitting in his room? Like, I don't, where did the dark part come in? Like, you know, so we got to be careful with these labels, but I do find a lot of power in sitting in your so-called darkness, right? And that's where you find out who you are and know who you are. All right, guys, this video may have been a little too deep for some of you. I know a lot of you guys are surface. And my channel's not for everybody. It really isn't. It's not fluffy. I'm not fluffy. And I hope you can pull a little bit from that. Please get my book. I break everything down for you. It's an amazing read, and it will leave you with a lot of good gems in looking into yourself. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos. I'll see you at ScorpioSunScorpioMoon.com, where you can purchase the paperback and the audiobooks. The audiobook is on its way for I'm Not Crazy. I don't have a release date yet. I will. I'm going to keep saying this for a lot of you who keep asking. Okay. And I can ship internationally. Please email me if you are in China, if you're in India, if you're in Pakistan, if you're in Panama, wherever. But email me first, because the post office does have their weird rules here. I don't know. Every day it changes of like, oh, we're shipping here, we're not shipping here. So just send me an email and we'll work it out for you. Also on the website, you can book a master chart reading, darling, where I tell you all about your type of zodiac sign. If you're not a Scorpio, I'll tell you about your challenges, your superpowers, how to use all of your aspects to your advantage. We talk about your love life, we talk about everything, okay? So by the end, you'll have a full idea of what you're working with. If If you want a one-on-one with me, you can book a personal live stream session. I also have a new tarot card reading called Secret Exposed. If you have a question about somebody, you can send me a text message or their photograph, and honey, I'll break it down for you immediately. You'll get all the answers. I have 9 amazing crash courses along with a love spell and an MP3 specifically made for bedtime so that you can eradicate old language and burn it and get rid of it and make a space to rebuild your self-concept. I have an amazing shop where you can get all my jewelry, teas, masks, and what was I going to say? Oh, the sale items are an additional 40% off by using the code REALScorpio. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and if you're here in New York City, you can get my paperback books at Aum Shanti Bookshop on East 14th Street and Quest Bookshop on East 53rd. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Mwah.